Welcome back, everybody, to Ein Sof Learning. Today we're going to continue in our series on Rashi on Genesis. And we're going to continue with the Parashat of Lecha this week, which is the third Parashat in the Torah, in the book of Genesis. And we're starting here with chapter 12, verse number 1 in the book of Genesis, where it says, Vayomer Adonai el Avram, Lech Lecha, me'artzecha, u'mimoladetecha, u'mibeit avicha, el haaretz asher areka. Hashem said to Abram, Go for yourself from your land, from your relatives, and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. Here we're seeing a commandment being given to Avram, which is later known as Abraham, the first patriarch of Judaism, the first of the three fathers that make up the roots of our tradition. They are the Avot of Israel. They are the forefathers of Israel. Abraham is the first, Isaac is the second, and Jacob is the third, whom we know Jacob becomes Israel. And nevertheless, here we're starting out the story of the patriarchs, beginning with Abraham's life, how he became Abraham. Because we know that before he became Abraham, he was Avram, which is one letter short from Abraham. It's missing the letter Hey. The letter Hey is a letter that gets added to his name later on in the narrative. He originally starts out as Avram, which literally means Av-Ram, a sweet father, or a high father. There are two different ways to translate the word Ram, but the word Av means father, of course. And Rashi is going to be tearing apart this first verse for us, where God is speaking with Abraham, and he says, Lech Lecha, he says, go for yourself from your land, from your relatives, and from your father's house. There are three places that Hashem explicitly tells Abraham to leave, not just one. The first is from your land. So physically leave, physically move, and get up and out from your land. Second of all, from your relatives. Move and distance yourself from your relatives. And number three, from your father's house. We're going to be explaining a little bit about what that means in the second Rashi that I'm going to bring on this parsha. We're going to go through three different Rashis to be exact with you, so you know exactly what to expect in the class. Three psukim, three verses. But the first commentary that Rashi is giving on this parsha is, what do you mean by Lech Lecha? What does God mean when he says to Abraham, go for yourself? Why not just say Lech, which means go? You didn't need to add that extra two letters, Lecha, which would mean to go for your own sake. In other words, God is commanding Abraham to leave his land and isolate himself from his relatives and leave his father's house for the sake of his own self, for the sake of his own benefit. Rashi is going to comment here. He says, Lehana'atecha. The first word from Rashi regarding this verse is for your own benefit, for your own hana'ah, which literally in Hebrew means pleasure. For your own delight, for the sake of your own benefit, Lech Lecha. And the second word he says is ultovatecha, and for your own goodness. So for your own benefit and for your own goodness, get up and leave the land, your relatives, and your father's house. And Rashi continues, Sham esecha legoy gadol. There I will make you into a great nation. Where exactly? To the land that I will show you. In the land that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right now saying to Avram that he's going to show him. He's going to show him this land. And it is there that Rashi says he will become a great nation. That is being conveyed to Avram with this command from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that it's for his own sake. It's not just a command to go. It's a command to go along with the assurance that it is for his own goodness and for his own benefit, and that it is there in that land that God will show him that he will make him into a great nation. Kan i'ata zoche levanim. Whilst here you will not merit the privilege of having children. Rashi is saying that here, where you currently are, which is located outside of the land of Canaan, you are not going to have children. You will not be meritorious to have kids. You will not have the privilege of having children. We all know the famous Gemara from Rosh Hashanah 16b, which says that when a person changes their location, their physical location, for example, you move from one house to another house, or you move states, or you change your residence from one location to another location, it has the power to change your mazal. The power to change your fortune, your destiny, your I don't know what word to use that would be appropriate, because we don't truly believe in the concept of chance or the concept of luck in Judaism. However, we have this concept of mazal, which literally means constellation. The word mazal literally means a star system, the way that the stars are arranged in the night sky. It's kind of like the Jewish version of astrology, but I don't like to call it astrology because of the negative connotations that so many people have warped that to mean. But nevertheless, we do have a concept in Judaism such as mazal, which is often translated as the zodiac or the astrology, the astrological sign, each of which corresponds to one of the 12 months that we have in a year. Because there are 12 months in a year corresponding to the 12 tribes of Israel. There are 12 tribes, and each tribe was symbolized by one of the 12 mazalot. Now, getting back on track, this Gemara from Rosh Hashanah is explaining to us that Rashi is quoting this Gemara when he says that here, where you are currently, you will not merit to have children, but there, when you move your location to the land that I will show you, you will have the merit to have children. Why? Because the question of whether a person is able to have children lies in the mazal. Not everybody merits to have children. It's written in the mazal of that individual whether or not they will have children. That's one of the three things that are mentioned by the Arizal that are in the hands of the mazal, and not every person has control over that dimension of their life. And furthermore, I shall make known your character throughout the world. Rashi says, Ve'od she'odia tavacha ba'olam. I will make your character known, your nature. I will make your teva known throughout the world. What does it mean? Tiv'acha. Rashi says that within this command to go for yourself to this land that I will show you contains an implicit message that God will furthermore make Abraham's or Avram's character to be known throughout the world. That by you making this move to go to this land that I will show you, your name will become globalized. Everybody will know who you are. Not in the sense of ga'ava, of pride and becoming prideful that your name is known around the world and that you want a good reputation. No, rather, tiv'acha odia. I will make your character known throughout the world. What does it mean, your character? It doesn't say, I will make your name known. It's not about honor and glory. It's about what Abraham later comes to represent in every single person's life, which is the attribute of chesed, the attribute of kindness. He teaches a person how to act with kindness. That's the symbol that Abraham represents. Truly, he has to go through a journey of development in order to reach the name Abraham, which is with the letter He, which symbolizes the attribute of kindness on the tree of life, the attribute of chesed. However, as long as he is Avram, without the letter He, he is considered being in a spiritual state of immaturity. He is what we call katnut, which means he does not have his upper three mental faculties of chokhmah, bina, and da'at. He lacks the gimel rishonim, the first three sefirot, which correspond to the mental faculties. And therefore, since he lacks those divine qualities, those divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, he is considered to be in a state of kadnut, which means smallness or spiritual immaturity. He has not yet reached his spiritual maturity, which is signified by the attainment of these three divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge on the tree of life. So Avram himself has to learn how to perfect the art of kindness, how to perfect that character trait, because chesed is one of the 7 character traits that every single human being, not just every Jew, but every single human being, has to learn to perfect. There are 7 character traits, starting with chesed, followed by gevura, and then tiferet, netzach, hod, yesod, and finally malchut, which make up the character traits of an individual. So the first of these 7 is chesed, which corresponds to Abraham, and therefore it is for this reason that Rashi is right now explaining to us that hidden within this commandment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving to Avram to get out from the land and from his relatives and from his father's house to the land that I will show you, which is the land of Canaan, which is later becomes the land of Israel, the Holy Land. It is there that he will merit to have children, and he will merit to be made into a great nation, and on top of all of this, that his character shall be made known throughout the world, which we all know later happens. This is a prophecy concealed within this commandment. And that's the first Rashi that I wanted to share with you, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed history to unfold the exact way that it did. The way things unfolded is the exact way that God wanted them to unfold, and the free will that we have in the moment is the only thing that matters. Don't occupy yourself with the past. Don't stay trapped in regret and thinking about the past. No, rather, learn from the past in order that you may be able to act properly in the present, so that you could one day merit to enter into the world of eternity, which means that your tomorrow, your future, will also be built. You can build your future. And it all depends on the actions you make now, which are informed by the past. So we don't want to stay in the past, rather we want to learn what you can, implement it into the present, so we can build a better future. So that's the beauty that's concealed within this Rashi. Now let's go on to verse number 2. Verse number 2 says, Ve'esecha legoy gadol, ve'avarechecha, ve'agadala, shemecha ve'heye bracha. And I will make of you a great nation, I will bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. Now in this second verse, the Torah is now explicitly mentioning the specifics of the blessings that are involved in Avram following the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says 4 things here: that I will make you a great nation, I will bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. Those are 4 points that Hashem highlights in this verse. There are 4 major things that God is promising Abraham if he gets up and goes to the land. And Rashi begins his commentary on this verse with the following words. He says, Lefi shehaderech goremet lishlosha devarim. Rashi says that traveling from one place to another is the cause of 3 things. When you travel from one place to another place so as to relocate your residency, when you relocate from one position to another position, this is the cause of 3 different things. Number 1, mimatet pirya urvia. It decreases family life. It breaks up family life. It causes an interruption in what we would call pirya urvia, your ability to produce children. Because along the journey, along the travel, You're not able to necessarily support a new pregnancy. So therefore, there's no pirya ureviya during the traveling. Number 2 is mima'atet et hamamon. It diminishes money. It reduces one's wealth. The amount of wealth that a person has, the amount of possessions that they have, become reduced as a cause of traveling. Because you are traveling, that's another of the 3 things, the second of the 3 things that Rashi is telling us that reduces while they're traveling. And number 3 is umema'etet et Hashem. It reduces one's name, their reputation, their renown. It reduces their reputation. Lechach hazkak lishlosha brachot halelu. And it is for this reason that Hashem includes 3 blessings. Truly, there's 4 blessings. But Rashi is explaining here that there are 3, because the 4th one is a separate category from these 3. These 3 blessings, the first 3, being that God promises to make Abraham a great nation, and that he will bless him, and that he will make his name great. These 3 promises in verse number 2 are keneged, or corresponding to these 3 aspects of a person's life that become reduced as a result of traveling. Shehivticho al habanim. It says that he therefore needed these 3 blessings. Abraham specifically needed these 3 things in order to make it in this mission, in this quest that God is giving him, that God should promise him children. Therefore, God is promising him children because it is difficult to have children while you're traveling. And number 2, ve'ala mamon. And therefore, he needs wealth. For that reason, Hashem promises to give him wealth. That's why he says, I will bless you. What does it mean, I will bless you? I will bless you with brachot. The brachot is rain, symbolized by rain. Rain symbolizes wealth, represents abundance, represents shefa. When we're talking about a bracha, that Hashem's blessing Avram, that means he's blessing him with wealth. That means he's blessing him with all of the brachot, not just spiritual, but also material. And thirdly, Al Hashem. The third thing that he therefore needed was a great name. And that's why Hashem said that he will make his character known throughout the world. Because how can we learn to emulate the character of Avraham Avinu? Is by learning about his name. Aleph, Bet, Resh, Hey, final Mem. These 5 letters, in that order, with those vowels, teaches you the character of Avraham Avinu. First, we have to understand Avram, and then we have to learn why the letter Hey was added to his name, because there is a Kabbalistic secret in the addition of the letter Hey. By the way, just a side note, not only his name was changed to Avraham with the letter Hey, not only he merited to receive the letter Hey, but also his wife Sarai, Sin Resh Yud, turned into Sarah, Sin Resh Hey. Why was his wife's name changed from Sarai to Sarah? There's a lot of secrets in the name changes. And by the way, all of this information that Rashi is bringing us in his commentary is really sourced from an earlier midrash from Bereshit Rabbah, chapter 39, verse 11, for those who would like to know the primary source, which is from the midrash really. So Rashi is bringing us a midrashic, simple understanding of what's going on in this verse. So you've got the plain text, and then you've got the commentary of Rashi providing you a glimpse into the behind the scenes. And the third and final commentary that I want to give you in this class is from chapter 12, verse number 5, where the Torah says, Avram took his wife Sarai and Lot, his brother's son, and all their wealth that they had amassed, as well as the souls that they made in Haran. Haran is the place that Avram was initially dwelling. In this parsha, the parsha starts out with Avram in the land of Haran, which is outside of the land of Canaan, which God is asking him to journey to. And so it says here that Avram took his wife, and he took his nephew. He took all their wealth, and he took all the souls that they had made in Haran, and they left to go to the land of Canaan. And they came to the land of Canaan. That is verse number 5 of this parsha. Now, I want to first pose some questions. What does it mean when it says that the souls that they made in Haran? What does it mean to make a soul? Let's go to the Hebrew so we can get a little bit more accurate about what the Torah is saying here. It says here, Vayikach Avram et Sarai ishto, ve'et Lot ben achiv, ve'et kol rechusham, asher rachashu, ve'et hanefesh asher asu. Hanefesh asher asu. The nafshot that they made corresponding to the olam asiyah, the world of action. That's why it says the nafshot that they made. What does it mean that the souls that they made? Because these are the students of Avram. That's right. It's from here that we learn that Avram was a teacher. He was an inspiration to others. And it's for that reason that the Lashon in the Torah says that he made their nafshot, is because he helped them transform their nature and tap into their nefesh eloki, their divine soul, as opposed to being dominated by their nefesh behemi, their animalistic soul. Because every single person has within them the capacity for good and the capacity for evil. It's as simple as that. And therefore, when it says he made their nefesh, he made their soul, it doesn't mean that he made their ruach or their neshama or their chaya or their yachida, because as we know, there are 5 levels of the soul. The level of nefesh, which is the word used in this verse, only connotates the lowest, the first, the most shafel, the lowest level of the soul, called nefesh, which corresponds to the animalistic instincts of an individual. So what does it mean that he made their nefesh? It means that he helped them learn how to transform their nature. Avraham used to teach people the way of spirituality, the way of God. And that's why he's considered the first monotheist, because his message of there being one God spread throughout the entire world. Look at the impact that Abraham had on our modern day culture. Over half the world is either Christian, Muslim, or Jewish. Those are the 3 Abrahamic religions. And then from these 3 major religions came so many other religions. And even those in the East, like for example Hinduism or Buddhism, they have most definitely been influenced by Abraham's ideology, his philosophy. Not to mention, 40% of Americans that are not Asian, but they practice Buddhism, are Jewish. Something like this. They're not religious Jews, but they're still Jewish in ethnicity, but they've been attracted to Buddhism. 40% of non-Asian practicing Buddhists within the United States are Jewish. So what's the point? Because people want to learn how to transform. They want to learn, they want to be tapped into something higher. Everybody wants to believe that they have a higher meaning, a greater meaning in life. And they're absolutely correct. There is a greater meaning to life. There is a greater purpose in life. And spirituality is the major purpose. However, every philosophy and every ideology, other than that of the truth, anything that is lacking, anything less than the truth, is very stupid for you to go down that path. Even if there are parts of it that are true, it is very stupid to mix yourself into a system that has contained both truth and falsehood. Because you're destined to destroy yourself. You're destined to hit a brick wall after which there is no going forward, there is no growth, there is no ascension, because it's mixed good and bad. It makes the journey to get to the ultimate destination, like the same way Avram going from the land of Haran to the land of Canaan, which is the Holy Land, later becomes the Holy Land. That journey and that traveling that we each must choose to embark on. We must put our foot down and say that I choose to embark this journey from the land of Haran to the land of Canaan. The same way that God calls upon Avram, so too God calls upon each and every single one of us to embark on this journey. But it has to be through the derech emet, the true path, the correct path, which is none other than Torah. There is only one truth. And although you may believe that there are many paths to the truth, and although that is actually true, there are multiple paths to get to the truth, but nevertheless, there is only one path of truth. So although you may have a different path, and I have a different path, and everybody has a different path, we're all trying to get to the same one path, which is the derech emet, the path of truth. And there is only one truth, not multiple truths, as the postmodernists want you to believe. The postmodernist wants you to believe that there is multiple truths, or that truth itself is subjective. But that is not the case. The Torah comes to teach that there is one truth and one truth only. However, each and every single person's journey, in order to get to that, in order to reach the promised land, in order to reach the goal, is different and is subjective. What's the ultimate goal? To get to the truth, to get to the objective reality. But the journey that each person will have to get there will differ, because everybody has a different tikkun. So I have different gifts, I have different flaws than a person next to me. But at the end of the day, we're both working toward the same goal, which is to grow ourselves in the direction of kedusha, the direction of holiness, to improve, to grow spiritually, to reach my potential, eventually to be able to reach my soul. Not just my nefesh, not just my ruach, but my neshama, which is the divine aspect of my being that binds me to the Ein Sof, to the endless. So that requires, of course, for me to purify my body, purify my actions, purify my speech, purify my thoughts, purify my emotions. And that itself is the journey that Abraham is now being told by God to embark on in order to reach his destination of fulfillment and actualization of his potential. And not just actualization of his potential, but rather to transcend himself and become an ever-flowing wellspring of chesed in the world. And that's what Abraham became. He became a channel of kindness to enter in through him and out into the world. That's what Abraham represents. That's what Abraham accomplished in his life. And he is a person to take inspiration from. He's reached transcendence in that aspect that he is no longer living for himself, but rather he reached the point in his life where he is living for the sake of benefiting others, for the sake of bringing others to the light, for the sake of bringing others to the realization that they are the masters of their own fate, that the war is within, that God is within, that God is one, and that everything that you see outside is really a reflection of something that exists inside. Because everything is connected. And there is no coincidence. That's what Abraham taught, that there is no such thing as chance. There is no such thing as randomness. And so if I perceive something in my world, you better believe that there is a reason, that there is a connection between you and that thing that you came across, that thing that you became faced with. Whatever's outside is there to help propel you forward in your journey towards the promised land, towards the land of Canaan, which Abraham is being told to go to, which we know later becomes transformed into the land of Israel. We must first go to Canaan in order to then be able to start the process of transforming it into Israel. But you first gotta get to Canaan. We got to leave Haran. We got to leave our land. We got to leave our family. We got to leave our father's house. These are the three things. And God will bless us along the way. He will provide us with the wealth that we need. He will provide us with the children that we need. And He will provide us with the name, the reputation. Not necessarily in the sense of pride, of course. This is not talking about pride, but rather you can influence people. You will be able to reach others. In other words, it's not just for yourself. You're not going only for your own sake. Although it says Lech, Lecha, for your own sake, it doesn't mean that it's at the exclusion of everybody else. But rather the verse that we read says that I will make you a blessing. That's the fourth point made in the verse number 2. That not only God will provide Abraham with wealth, not only will provide him with children, and not only will provide him with the ability to inspire others, which is why it says that He will make His name great. But on top of that, He will become a blessing. It is through Him that the nations of the world will be blessed. And not just Abraham himself, but any individual that reaches and perfects himself the way Abraham did. A person who reaches the attribute of chesed, they refine their attribute of kindness. Who emulates the attribute of kindness, emulates the character of Abraham. A person who reaches that level of consciousness, called Abraham, he too or she too will become a conduit of chesed, a channel of kindness for the world. Will become a blessing for the world. Through them, the world will be blessed, and through them, the world will be cursed. That's what happens when you become a tzaddik. If you curse a tzaddik, you will be cursed. If you bless a tzaddik, you will be blessed. That's the rule in spirituality. When a righteous person tells you to do something, and you don't follow, and rather you turn against him, you're actually turning against God. However, whenever you listen to him, and you fulfill his orders and his commandments, or you bless him, and you understand that he is here to help you, and therefore you show appreciation. Whenever you are favorable towards the tzaddik, you yourself will be blessed. So, it is in that merit that Israel gets the status, the same status that Abraham did. Because we are the descendants, we are the promised children. That Abraham was told he will become a great nation. What does it mean? I will make you into a great nation. That means the Jewish people, the people of Israel. And from us and through us, the rest of the 70 nations will likewise reach the blessing. That's why we are called upon by Isaiah to become a light upon the nations. Or lagoyim. Because it's through us that the nations will be blessed, or God forbid, cursed, if we don't fulfill our mission, which includes the bringing peace to all the world. To bring world peace, to bring the wisdom of God. And that is a mission that we have been tasked with that is still underway, but will soon be fulfilled, Be'ezrat Hashem, soon in our days, with the coming of the Messiah, son of David. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in. In the next week's Parsha, in the next series that I'm going to be starting this coming Wednesday night, it's going to be on the topic of Shema Yisrael, the secret of the Shema Yisrael. So join me in the new series that we're beginning this week. It will come out on Thursday during the daytime, Thursday at 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, to be exact, on the secret of the Shema Yisrael. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next class.